Let's be real. Artificial intelligence is getting more and more powerful every single day. And that brings up a huge question. How do we make sure it's actually built to serve us and not just, well, exist alongside us? Today, we're going to dive into the framework designed to do just that, to keep people, you and me, firmly in the picture.
And yeah, this question, it's really at the heart of it all. As AI starts to influence everything from medicine to finance to just our daily lives, we have to be super deliberate about who's holding the reins. And look, this isn't some far-off sci-fi thought experiment. This is about actively designing the future we all want to live in.
So, here's our game plan for this explainer. First up, we're going to get a really clear definition of what human-centric AI even means. Then, we'll unpack the three big pillars that make it all work. That's human in the loop, human oversight, and human validation. And finally, we'll connect all the dots to see why this is so incredibly important.
All right, first stop. So what is human-centric AI? You probably hear this term thrown around a lot, but believe me, it's way more than just a buzzword. It's a fundamental philosophy for how we should be building this amazing technology responsibly.
At its core, it's a way of thinking that puts us first, our needs, our control, and our values. The whole goal here shifts, right? It's not just about building the smartest AI possible. It's about building the most helpful and, the most trustworthy AI. You can think of it like creating tech that boosts our own abilities, instead of trying to replace our judgment entirely.
Okay, so that's the philosophy. But how do you actually do it? How do you put it into practice? Well, it all comes down to these three key principles, which are designed to keep us right in the driver's seat. We've got human in the loop, human oversight, and human validation. So let's break down each one.
First up is human in the loop. And that subtitle, the Copilot model, it's perfect because it gets right to the heart of what this is all about.
I want you to think of this as a true active collaboration. It's a real-time partnership between a person and a machine. You're not just checking the AI's homework after the fact. You are right there, in the moment, helping guide its decisions, especially when the stakes are high or things get a little complicated.
And this autopilot analogy, it totally nails it. Think about it. The autopilot handles the long, routine parts of the flight. That frees up the human pilot to see the bigger picture, to monitor everything, and to grab the controls when there's turbulence or it's time to land. It's not one or the other. They're an active team. That is human in the loop.
Okay, let's move on to our second principle, human oversight. And if the last one was the Copilot, you can think of this one as the ultimate safety net.
Simply put, human oversight is the power to step in. It's a guarantee that a person can review, intervene, and fix an AI's actions at any point. And that is what gives us accountability. It makes sure that a machine's decision is never, ever the absolute final word. Just look at the difference this makes. On the left, without oversight, an AI's mistake could just be, locked in forever. There's no recourse. But over on the right, with oversight, the AI makes a suggestion. A human expert then brings their experience and judgment to the table, and they get the final say. That one tiny shift from decision to suggestion is how we build real safety and trust into these systems.
And that brings us to our third and final principle, human validation. If you want a simple way to think about it, just call it the ongoing quality check.
Now, the key word here, and you really got to remember this, is ongoing. This isn't a one-and-done thing. AI models aren't set in stone. They can drift or change as they get new data. So human validation is that constant process of testing and checking to make sure the AI is still on track, that it's still accurate, fair, and doing what we wanted it to do in the first place. So how does it work in practice? Well, it's this simple cycle. First, we, the humans, define what success even looks like. Then, we regularly test the AI's performance against that benchmark. And here's the critical part. We use what we learn from that feedback to refine and retrain the model. It's a continuous improvement loop, always guided by human judgment.
So we've walked through the three principles. Let's kind of zoom out now and ask the really big question. Why does any of this matter? And honestly, it all boils down to one single powerful word: trust.
All right, let's lock in these key takeaways so they stick with you. Human in the loop, that's our active partnership. Human oversight, that's our essential safety net. And human validation, that's our long-term quality check. These three things working together are what create a truly responsible AI system.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? We're not just talking about technical guidelines or some lines of code here. This is a whole philosophy for development. These are the literal building blocks we need to make sure that the incredible tools we're creating actually serve us, and most importantly, always remain in our control.
So, this leaves us with one last and honestly really crucial question to think about. As AI keeps weaving itself into every part of our world, how do we make sure that these principles become non-negotiable requirements and not just, friendly suggestions? That's a conversation we all need to be a part of. Thanks for joining me.